So
Was
that,
he a marksman? Was he? I've heard all kind of various comments where how good of a shot he was or not.
okay. So Jeff, you know a little bit about this. Okay. Um, the Warren Commission says that Oswald fired 3 shots in about 6 seconds, and he had two direct hits on JFK. One that entered the back, one that came in the back of the skull. All right, and of course, the one in the back of the skull was the kill shot. All right. Now, again, let me say that again. 3 shots in 6 seconds,
Right.
two direct hits.
One miss, right? One miss.
One miss, and we'll talk about that in a second because that's
Okay.
all right. Now, I don't know how many of your listeners know this, but the supposed murder weapon was what they call a bolt action rifle. It's not a semi automatic where you squeeze one shot off, and it's not an automatic where you get a steady stream. Every time you take a shot with a bolt action rifle, you have to work the lever, bring it back, new cartridge goes into the chamber, push it back forward, and push it back down, and that's what loads the shell into the chamber. All right. In other words, it's a manually operated rifle.
Right.
All right.
Right.
How on earth could you get 3 shots in 6 seconds? Because every time you go ahead and fire that rifle, if you it has a scope, right? So the scope's going to be vibrating
Right.
every shot you take. So you have to wait for it to settle down and line it up again. Well,
You would have to be an expert marksman, right, Jim, to be able to do that.
not even they could do it. Okay, the FBI brought in one of the best snipers that they could find. This guy actually wrote a book, okay, about a military, his career as a military sniper. And they, excuse me, it wasn't the FBI, it was CBS, because CBS was trying to put together this special in 1967, endorsing the Warren Commission. So they brought in this guy. And they said, go ahead, we'll give you a couple of tries at this. You know, he couldn't do it. He took something like 7 seconds to get off the 3 shots, and he didn't get 2 out of 3 direct hits. All right. All right. And by the way, that's what caused them to drop that whole experiment, and they went to a gallery of riflemen, but they cheated and they enlarged the target so it would be bigger than Kennedy with whatever
Right. Right.
was aiming at anything, but supposedly what he was aiming at. So they couldn't find anybody who could do this under regular and normal and accurate
Right.
circumstances. Now, what's
So
even worse is that Oswald wasn't a good marksman at all.
that's okay. He was not. Okay. Okay. So explain to our audience the magic bullet theory.
Oh,
Tell us how was that created, Jim?
all right. Well, it was created because a guy named Daryl Tomlinson moved a stretcher in Parkland Hospital, and when it rammed up against the wall, you had this alleged bullet, you know, that was attached to the stretcher, rolled out, and Tomlinson picked it up. He gave it to the security officer, O.P. Wright, and O.P. Wright gave it to the Secret Service. They gave it to the FBI. And Arlen Specter, when he was commandeering the ballistics part of the Warren Commission, said, well, that must have been Conley's stretcher, and this must have been the bullet that passed through Kennedy and Conley and landed on his stretcher. All right, now this is what is called the single bullet theory. This idea that Specter put together said that this bullet comes in from the 6th Fort, enters Kennedy's back, exits his throat, goes forward hits Connolly in the right side of his back, right below his shoulder blade, comes out the front of his chest, goes to the right, smashes Connolly's wrist, then goes to the left and lands
So ridiculous.
in his upper thigh. Okay. And somehow it worked its way out of its upper thigh and ended up on this stretcher in Parkland Hospital where Tomlinson found it. That's the magic bullet. And it's the sine qua non of the Warren report. If there is no magic bullet, the whole Warren report evaporates overnight. Okay.